from Shamanic Quest. It's great to have you on the podcast today, here to talk to me about the festivals and celebrations of this May time of year. So yeah, really excited to get stuck in and sharing some ideas. So welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. It's a pleasure to be back in your company once again. And such a glorious time of year.
It is.
Well. It's just beautiful.
It is. This is the time for ultimate celebrations and fertility and excitement, and everything's starting to blossom, and we've got the return of the light. It's like the start of those lighter months now. It's officially, we're moving into summer. Yeah, those 3 months of the sun's really coming up to its peak, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to be good times coming out of that darkness. I think that's been a big thing for me, coming out of the darkness.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because actually the energy of the sun is peaking between now and solstice.
Yes.
And so what we traditionally think of as summer, and it's certainly warmer and the light is very different, the sun energy itself is on the wane after solstice.
Yes.
So we're at peak sun energy time at this time of year. And as we head into Beltane, a major fire festival, and a time when traditionally the farming folk would bring their livestock down from the hills and pass them between two fires for purification and protection and celebration of fertility, as you said.
And cleansing and that renewal of life, and getting ready to for that conception to happen, the union of masculine and feminine. It's just such a virile time, isn't it? And the land is just starting to buzz, and you know, we've kind of come through that real, I think for me, we've come through the femininity of the spring and the goddesses of Astara and you know, the female energy, and now it's time for the masculine, for the maypole, for the, you know, that's the time now to have some fun and some kind of the union of the, you know, male and female.
Absolutely. And what's really lovely about that, and as you've sort of brought that to the forefront, this is the time of the greenwood marriage. And this is where this ripening goddess gets her hands on the young horned god and makes a man out of him.
Absolutely.
So she teaches him all he needs to know. It's like, come on now, let's get on with it.
Yes.
And traditionally, again, the good people of our land would be reenacting this greenwood marriage out in the woods and having a jolly good time while they was at it. Apparently, they'd be wearing more older clothing in order to do this, because rutting in the woods can make your clothes dirty and can get them ripped. Apparently, I've heard.
One must be prepared.
Yes, and of course, you see, once you've finished your greenwood marriage, you can head off over to the spring, where your torn clothing can then be soaked in the spring water for good health and blessings. Wonderful. And hung from the hawthorn tree, you see. So, you know, it's very practical as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. And yeah, the hawthorn, the blossom from the hawthorn as well. You know, it's just, it's there's so many rituals around, you know, from parts of the country that I've heard of, and lovely ones like taking a sprig of the blossom and leave it on a friend's doorstep for good luck for the coming, you know, the coming year. And also I learned about another one recently about taking the dew from under an oak tree on May Day morning. The women would, or the girls, you know, they'd pat it on their face to ensure beauteousness for the rest of the year. And there's all these lovely rituals about sort of becoming and beauty and that ritualistic energy. Just, it's high time for it, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's kind of Venus energy, really. It's all about beauty and love and life and the celebration of the life force and that which moves life forward.
Yes.
And so it's such a jolly affair. I find it one of the most jolly celebrations of the 8 that we have in this country. And our Viking brothers and sisters, they would celebrate with a horn of mead. Mead being the food of the poets, of course. And so there would be much boasting around the fire, and storytelling. And the boasting would be about their exploits over the previous year since the past May Day, where they would have spoken into what they were hoping to bring forth in this very manifesting energy. And so at this time of year, it's a time to reflect, boast about what you did and what went really well, and any stories that are attached to your escapades, and then to continue to boast with what you're going to be doing in the coming year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Manifestation and planning for the,
Absolutely. It's all about leaving what no longer serves you behind and stepping into what it is that you want to bring forward in your life over the next year. And so we see celebrations and rituals such as jumping the fire, which I highly recommend, but obviously it comes with risks.
Of course.
So do be careful, have some fire extinguisher, don't wear flammable clothing, all of that kind of stuff if you do decide to do it. But when one jumps the fire, one is jumping out of what has been and into what is becoming. Very with symbolic. That intention, very symbolic. And also, again, with this Greenwood marriage, many couples would pledge themselves to each other by jumping the fire as well. Absolutely, yeah.
It's really about that union of masculine and feminine now, and the maypole and May Day has the roots in Beltane, in those old Celtic traditions, and interestingly enough, I believe it's the only festival of pagan festival, Celtic festival, that isn't overlaid by anything from Christianity. It's still left in its purity. Really, it's still very much there with the May Day. There's nothing overlaid in the UK as far
there
as
is something a little bit overlaid, it seems. Whereas we've gone from the goddess and her physical expression as being women, being these lusty maidens in the Greenwood marriage, to being this virginal child for the May Queen. So we've stepped over a little bit there, overlaid by religion, Christianity.
Perhaps.
But on the whole, it's pretty similar. That
the symbolism of the maypole and the dancing the earth energies up around the maypole as the maidens would swirl and twirl and do that dance on the land. It really feels like there's a sense of conjuring with that, doesn't there?
It's the weaving of the union again. Absolutely.
And it's there with our traditional village maypole events. So that's really lovely to see. It's so alive still, I think, definitely.
Absolutely. And I very much like attending May Day festivities, especially when there's Morris dancing alongside the maypole dancing. Because the Morris men traditionally are also dancing up the earth energies, but also the protection of the earth energies as well. So it's a really beautiful example of the masculine energy being very supportive and protecting of the feminine energies. And I put emphasis on masculine and feminine energies as opposed to men and women. Because as we know, both men and women can perform both dances and very effectively too. But it's that beautiful holding of the feminine and the protecting of the feminine that the Morris men do with their dancing, and when they smack the pole onto the floor, and it's like driving away the sort of the more negative forces, if you will. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You'd be gone.
Yeah,
wonderful. And some places, the Morris men and their equivalents will dance the sun up, which is wonderful. And I've seen this beautiful parade where one of them is wearing the horns of the horned god coming through the mist. It's very evocative and powerful.
Yeah, that ancient, it sort of brings up feelings of the ancients, of the you know, the land energy that's old and yet still alive through us. Yeah, and the wildness.
Absolutely. And the wildness is really so important. And Beltane, along with Samhain, that's the time when the energies of the veil are quite fine, and they're even finer at sun up and sundown, dawn and dusk. And whereas Samhain is very much about inward energies and sort of inward connections, Beltane is all about the expressive outward energies. Yeah. It's a great time to be connecting with nature spirits, tree spirits, the wildness, the fairy, the fae.
Yeah.
It's so expressive. All of the energy around Beltane is very yang. You know, it's a doing energy. It's a reaching out. It's a sharing. It's the union between us and the unseen dimensions. Very, very beautiful. And so, if you're out at dawn and dusk, that's going to be the time where you kind of think, oh, did I see something move over there?
In the corner of your eye.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the fairy folk. Yeah, well, the May Queen, she's fairy folk, isn't she? You know, she lives in the hedgerows. She's the epitome of that feminine flowering energy, isn't she? And
absolutely.
I always wanted to be a May Queen when I was younger. I had a bit of the Led Zeppelin song Stairway to Heaven. They referenced the May Queen, and I used to sort of slip off into fantasy about becoming the May Queen. I was born in May, so perhaps that's something to do with it.
Then surely you were and still are a May Queen.
Yeah, if there's
it's a beautiful song.
It is. Yeah, the lyrics, if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a
sprinkling from the
May Queen. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, they were so connected to the old ways with their lyrics. They were fantastic. But yeah, that song in particular really does bring up that essence of in English hedgerow countryside magic, you know.
Absolutely.
That's so alive right now.
Absolutely.
And it's there's something about hedgerows at this time of year. I think it's perhaps, I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's a force in them, isn't there?
There is a force in them, and not only that kind of sort of alternate dimension life force, but they are teeming with life themselves as the flowers come forward and the new green shoots come forward. So we see the green man very active in them, and then all of the birds and the insects, they're alive with life coming forward. And the birds themselves are singing for all of us. It's very, very beautiful time of year. And you know, the old hedgerows would be lining the old walkways and pathways, and the driving of the sheep and the cows, and so the hedgerows themselves were very important as we travelled along on our merry way. Gorgeous.
Go a maying, they used to call it, didn't they? Into the woods a maying.
yes
Getting up to all sorts.
Yes, mischief making. Really. You know, you've got
Absolutely.
Pan hanging around at this time of the year. It's
Oh,
going to be mischief.
indeed, indeed. Yeah, those masculine archetypes. You've got Robin Hood as well. I understand he's kind of that man of the wood, that the woods that's up to all sorts. There's lots of archetypes, aren't there, and characters around in our mythology and folklore. Yeah, you've got the Green
Absolutely.
Man, and I'm trying to think who else we've got. There's got to be a few.
Hern the Moss.
Hern, yeah, yeah. So yeah, all that masculine energy flying around. It's certainly something.
Yes, it's young masculine energy. That's what it is, which is why I think it's so mischievous.
Yes.
But that doesn't go on for too much longer, because the Merry Maiden is going to be quite full and ready to give birth in the not too distant future. Absolutely. After the frolicking of Beltane.
Yes, there will be results.
There will be results of the union, for sure.
Absolutely.
I particularly like the Greek story of Persephone and Demeter.
Yes.
Having spent quite some time in the underworld after leaving this realm with Hades. I think it's Zeus who strikes the bargain that Persephone can come away from the underworld for a few months every year. And her mother, Demeter, who was the earth goddess, if you will, when her daughter went missing, she just allowed winter to come, and nothing was growing on the land because she was so sad that she'd lost her daughter. And so when Zeus strikes this bargain with Hades and Persephone is allowed to leave the underworld, Demeter is so happy that she brings life back to the earth. Yeah. And so spring returns in, and this is again another part of the joy of this time of year. And we can all feel it, can't we? This return of life.
We're just, I just feel that the darkness, we've left the darkness behind this year more than ever. And I don't know if other people feel it, but this winter was so hard for me personally, and a few other people I have spoken to. It was a long, hard one, even though we didn't get much rain, and we didn't fall into a deep winter in nature, but I feel, I don't know, maybe collectively or just for myself, I felt it was a dark, heavy one. And I just feel that's really, it seems to have, touch wood, left me behind. And I really feel now I'm in my garden and I'm surrounded by these birds, and all we have is bird song around us. I'm so lucky where I live, I'm surrounded by blossom and bird song. And it just feels like we're really there now. I can breathe, I can just soak it all up now. But that darkness is behind us. It's a wonderful time of year. We're all feeling it, definitely.
I agree. And as you said at the very beginning of our talk here, it's the quality of the light. And there's such a difference there, and the warmth of the sun. But also for me, it's the smell of the warmth of the earth as it starts to warm up. There's this just beautiful fragrance there. And so all of our senses are being re-stimulated. And I suppose in many ways it's kind of instinctual as well. And isn't it wonderful that we still have this wildness in us? And that our mind, our body, our emotions respond to this awakening energy, and how it uplifts the spirit. Yes. You know, we are wild beings.
We are, we are, definitely. And it's important to be connected to these energies and to these changes in those earth energies. I think it's really, it's essential, I feel, for our biological processing, isn't it?
It's crucial. It's crucial to our well-being on every level. I was listening to you speaking with Kirsty in a recent talk that you had with her, and she was speaking into how we are suffering, as we have done for quite some time now, the separation of ourselves from our own selves, our own spirit, from connection with others, but also there's this separation from nature. And in shamanic practices, that is the only illness, the sickness of separation.
Wonderful.
And this beautiful earth, this living being that provides everything that we need to be in close relationship with her. And our ancestors knew this. And if we do nothing else but celebrate these 8 festivals of the year, that means that every 6 weeks it gives us the opportunity to retune in to the cycles of nature, retune in to our own cycles, find our bearings in this world, because sitting in your square car, in your square house, in your square office, just traveling to and fro, all of that gets lost, and it is not good for us. It's not good for us. It's not good for the planet. It's not good for any of our relatives. No. So sitting around a fire at Beltane is crucial. It's crucial, and it gives us the opportunity to link with our ancestors and our ancestral heritage. It gives us the opportunity to come into this moment now, and it gives us the opportunity, especially if we have our children with us, to bring this forward for future generations. And that's the mark of a good ancestor.
Absolutely.
What are you bringing forward for future generations?
Yeah. And the earth itself, I really feel that she needs our energy back. She needs that coexistence, that co-creation, that union of us and the earth. And by marking these 8 points, I think it's a nod to the planet. It's a nod to her, isn't it? We recognize you, we love you, we are in union with you, we work with you, we are you.
We are you. I think that's the crucial part again, is like, we are you are us. There are 4 kingdoms on the medicine wheel, and the human kingdom is one of them. We need to be in right relationship with the earth and with the other 4 kingdoms and all the relatives that are within those, and we are not in right relationship. And it is a spiritual sickness that our children feel that they are not worthy to live on this planet, that this planet would continue without us. That is just not true. We need to be here. All of the kingdoms, all of the relatives bring their special gift and relationship to the earth, and we do too. One of the gifts that we bring is gratitude. We express gratitude, and we also bring movement to the earth in a way that the other kingdoms can't bring movement. And we bring creativity to the earth in a way that the other kingdoms can't do. So we are very much needed here. The other kingdoms want us back in right relationship, and we need to be back in right relationship. And coming full circle into what you was saying at the beginning of this section, is that Beltane particularly is inviting us to meditate and contemplate, how do each of us bring more love and express more love for this earth, for this planet, for all of our relations, and for all of humanity. So it's such a beautiful celebration to really explore that and express that, and also pledge to how are you going to walk this over the next year. And it doesn't have to be huge things. Like, the simplest things can be the most powerful. You know, you don't have to get all Greta Thunberg. You know, you can go more lightly with that. But what can you do? And what would that feel like for you?
How can we come closer to a balanced union with the planet? How can we come closer to her?
How do we come home to her?
Yeah.
Because we haven't been home for a long time now, and we're beginning to forget. And this is where we draw on these cultures of the more wild members of the human family, the ones that we refer to as indigenous, the tribal people, like the Bushmen of the Kalahari, excuse me, who are still living as they have lived for thousands of years. They teach us how to come back into relationship with the earth.
Absolutely.
It's a magical place. It's such a magical place. If only we can find our way back to that. And I think there's a huge resurgence in people wanting to come back to the earth. Wanting to come back to being human beings and not human doings. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think in relation to that, I've noticed there's a lot more people seeking freedom from something. I'm not sure they know what they're seeking freedom from, but I've seen a real uprising in people that want to live off grid, people that want to live the van life experience, people that want to escape something. And I wonder, you know, in us, we know something's not right. You know, we know that this isn't how we should be living. There's an instinct there, and there's an urge to push outwards and escape that. And you know, the common factor there is people want to come back to the earth. They want to come back to living closer to the earth, nomadically or however they want to live. But there's that real element of coming back, getting out of these square boxes and onto the planet, so to speak, rather than in our little cosmos in front of our screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find interesting as well is that you know, 100 years or so ago, a lot of us peasants were living in slums, in very cramped and crowded areas, working in factories, working in mines, leading lives harsher than the ones that we have, and yet just as restricted. And then we have these philanthropists who come along, and they create things like the garden cities, and they create these more open plan towns where everybody's got a good sized garden, everybody has access to nature. And they did this because they could see the benefit and the need for everyone to have access to these things. But what we see now is almost like we're coming full circle, in as much as, you know, the housing estates that are built now, very close together, sometimes no garden at all, or maybe a handkerchief of garden. Everybody's frightened of the bugs, people putting down the plastic grass. We're not in that relationship. It's like we've had this renaissance of about 50 years where our government and the philanthropists were changing laws to give us more access to green space and a wider living space. And now that's being restricted, you know, and people don't like living on top of each other. It's not healthy in so many ways.
It's, yeah.
And we need nature.
It's really knocking nature out, though. I've, you know, just on that, my daughter, she lives on a new build estate. It's a very large one, and her whole neighborhood is infested with leather jackets in the gardens, which is the larvae for the crane fly. And there's an infestation in their lawns, and it's killing all of their lawns, and that's a real impact of there not being any birds. Apparently woodpeckers are that's their main, you know, one of their, it's part of their diet is to eat those grubs, and there's no birds, there's no wildlife to eat these larvae up, so it's really knocking nature out. There's nowhere for these birds to nest in these new build estates, so this balance is gone. It's going, isn't it? Well, yeah, it's just not there.
So what we saw during that strange time when we all had to stay in our houses, or well, we're advised to anyway, what we saw then actually was a resurgence in our wildlife. And what that tells me is that if we just change our ways, I'm not saying be shut in your house, but if we make changes such as a huge reduction in chemical exposure for the insects and everything that eats them, creating at least wildlife corridors, making sure that there is room for nature, she can recover. But if we don't do that soon, we're going to be in trouble. And in fact, I was listening to, I think it was Matt McCarthy. He wrote a book called The Children's Fire. It's a beautiful book. And I was sitting around a fire with him actually. And apparently, and I can't remember the name of the elder, but about 30 years ago, this elder had said, if the human race changes its trajectory now by reducing the impact that we have on nature, nature can recover. 30 years on from that, they said, we've missed that opportunity now. And the only way that we can now redress the balance is becoming spiritually connected to the land again. We have got to come back into connection with this land at a deep, deep level if we and all of our relatives are going to be able to continue forward in a healthy way.
Yeah, our minds are far too distracted to do it cerebrally. There's no mindfulness about it. I'm talking en masse about the impact, but our spirit feels it. And I think returning to Beltane, this is the Taurus season that we're in now. We're moving into Taurus. We've moved into Taurus. It's the Taurus rules the senses. We're all about the senses, and as you were saying earlier, it's a sensual time. Beltane is that sensual time, and if we're in touch with ourselves and our senses, we will feel what the earth needs. We will know by our senses what's out of balance and what isn't, but we're disconnected from those senses because we're here in the mind with the distractions, aren't we? So
yeah, I think we're taught that the mind is who we are, and we forget that the mind is a tool. It's very, very important, very helpful. We do need it for creating, but it is a tool. It's not who we are. And when we come back to who we truly are, then through our senses we can be communicated with, and our intuition can flourish. And we can start to work in a much healthier way, in a connected way, as opposed to a disconnected way. And so I see these festivals and Beltane as being a big step towards that. And then, as you know, as I'm very lucky, I get to spend these festivals with other people, but it's very easy to create your own ceremonies, rituals and celebrations as well.
definitely.
And so if you are very good at meditating, going out and meditating is very useful. That will get you in touch with nature, but also shamanic journeying as well. You can journey with the trees, with the plants, with the animals, with the gods and the goddesses in the forests, with the nature beings of the forests and the fae. You can go to the springs and the wells and purify and make offerings there. You can walk labyrinths and spirals where you walk into the labyrinth with this idea of letting things go as you spiral in. You get to the center and you might ask a question. And then as you slowly walk out, you open your senses up to allow that information to come to you in the places in between, not from thinking and trying to logicalize it. And this is the really interesting thing about myths. My friend Andreas, he says myths always are, they never were. And mythos is very different to logos. Logos is all about the mind and making sense, being logical. But mythos is about the spaces in between. And so when we hear the myths of our gods and our goddesses, they are imparting something to us in those deeper spaces that you're talking about. And we need to get a sense, a full-bodied sense of what they are imparting to us through the dawn and the mists of time. Because if you sit there and try to work it out of your mind, you will miss the message.
It's not, I don't think it is to be conceived with the mind, it's to be conceived with the soul. It's soul language, it's spirit language, isn't it? And
you have to receive it.
And body. And that's why I think it's so important to be in touch with our senses, because we can feel land energy. I can feel land energy, I can feel tree energy, I can see tree energy, flower energy. If we're connecting and absorbing all of that and in relationship with that, then there comes the balance, there comes the restoration. But the mind, I don't believe the mind can do that. It's our body and our spirit that converses with that energy. It can have that conversation, can't it?
Absolutely. My spiritual mentor, he says the mind is the last to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's so true. And so the quiet mind is a gift. The quiet mind is such a gift. And it allows for so much more.
That's why meditating with a river or with a tree, it all sounds a bit bonkers to people that perhaps haven't had those experiences, but that's where the magic is, that's where the message is, that's the sitting in silence with a river. There's so much you can learn.
Absolutely.
So much we can learn.
Absolutely, with all of the elements, you know, if you are quiet and you're listening, you will hear.
And you'll heal as
absolutely well. Absolutely.
So coming back to the senses for this time of year, the flowers, the sunlight, the animals, it's really all about celebration of that, and I think sinking into the joy of that is where I can find happiness. It's where that true happiness is. I think that this really is a time for celebration, isn't it? I think there's no, you know, with the other, traditionally with the other celebrations throughout the year, there's a lot of sacrificial element to it as well, but this is the only celebration where there's no need for any kind of sacrifice. It is just pure celebration and joy and reverence for everything that's natural and beautiful.
It's that celebration of the mystery of what is life. What is the life force energy? What is it that moves that? How does it move through? It's miraculous. The miracle of birth in its many different forms, the miracle of life moving forward as it has been for millennia and will continue to do so. But what is that? What is that? Scientists cannot pinpoint where your life force energy is. They don't know. It's like, what is that? It's so juicy. And this is the time to just revel in it. Revel in the magic and the mystery.
Yeah. It is.
And enjoy each other.
And come together. Yeah, absolutely. Union. It is the time of union, of all energies coming together and enjoying and celebrate life. It's a celebration of life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So how will you be celebrating?
Well, now I will be holding a Beltane celebration and ceremony at Clophill on the 30th of April. I am intending to try to beautify myself with some of that early morning dew.
Absolutely, from under the oak tree, of course.
Absolutely. I've got to try to get that on there. But we will be drumming and singing and sharing food and drink. We will be boasting. I just love the boasting, and it's really good for people to be boasting, and mostly people are very shy about that. So it really gets them out of their comfort zone, which is wonderful, and we all have a jolly good laugh about that as well. We may do some jumping of the fire. Or we may do some wandering in the woods. It depends on how I'm guided. So I will be doing some deep listening myself to find the finer points and details of how we will be celebrating. But I'm looking forward to being in the woods with a fire, with some really great people, and having some fun together. It will be wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. All that community.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
And how about you?
I will more than likely be at home, comfy, cozy home in the garden with the birds. and my lover, and we shall have a fire and some food, no doubt. So
how lovely.
I'll leave the rest to the imagination.
The Greenwood marriage, I love it. Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Yes, yeah. And I really am lucky where we live, the garden, it's just surrounded by, we're overlooked by lots of trees, and they're just coming into, the leaves are just starting to fill them out, and the bird song, because we don't get much traffic noise, and the bird song is just wonderful. We can just sit for hours and get lost in the bird song. It's amazing. So lucky.
Beautiful.
Really, really nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really good chatting to you about Beltane, and it's just great to have these chats and to mark and honor these points throughout the wheel of the year, and for sharing your insight and your knowledge. It's always really exciting to talk to you. So yeah, thanks ever so much. Do you want to let us know about anything that you've got up and coming up with Shamanic Quest?
Thank you, Cheryl. Well, I would like to just say thank you very much for having me on your lovely podcast. It's always a joy to be chatting with you. Thank you for asking me about what I've got coming up. We do celebrate all of the 8 celebrations throughout the year. I do hold regular drum circles and women's circles. But I have coming up soon a set of introductory workshops, so people can actually come and learn how to shamanic journey. They can learn how to set up their space, certain breath work and exercises, working with power animals and the rattle. And then if they particularly like the way that we work, then they can access the full year foundation course, where I do get people communicating with trees, with plants, with animals, with the elements and the rivers, as well as deeper work. So it's really about coming into connection with the different aspects of self internally, and also coming into deeper connection with all of those aspects that are external to us. So it's a beautiful journey of self-discovery, rediscovery, and finding your personal power from that spiritual aspect of being connected.
Yeah, fabulous. And people can reach you via Facebook. You've got a website as well, haven't you? I can link everything on the end of the video, but where can they find you?
Yeah. So you can find me at shamanic.quest.co.uk. You can find me at melanietomsett.com. You can email me hello@melanietomsett.com. Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. I'll share all the links.